great week 1.
Yeah.
A lot of good games coming up for week 2, but we'll start just recapping some of these games in the opening week of the NFL.
Yeah. So,
Um,
I mean, I think huge opener with the Rams Bills game. I think lived up to the hype of what the game would be. Not so much on the Rams side, being that the Rams, there's so many questions with the Rams. There's so many things going on with them. Whereas the Bills, they kind of have that continuity, being that everybody is still together. They're still, and then on top of that, you add Von Miller in a pass rusher. Crazy contract, but I mean, the way he played that game, I mean, I'd pay him that money too.
mm-hmm.
So, lived up to it, and they're just picking up right where they left off, and it's just like it's phenomenal the way that they looked on offense.
Yeah, and I mean, watching this game, it was close in the beginning, really just because the Bills just were getting turnovers and
Yeah, they were
weird
playing
things were happening.
sloppy in a
But
sense,
but
they weren't.
yeah, so they were playing well, but they let the Rams hang around because they gave the ball away, and sometimes where the Bills should have put some points on the board resulted in turnovers, things of that nature. But
Right.
Josh
So
Allen
like,
looked amazing. He was
yeah,
running guys over. He's making throws. The play calling looked good. The
yeah.
defense looked good. Like you said, Von Miller was playing great.
I mean, they had
Receivers played well. I
right.
mean,
So I
all
think
around game.
the thing that you could say with the Bills is just in general. I mean, Josh Allen looked fully in command of the offense. In the opening drive, they looked great. They did what they did, and even past that, the pick that he threw to Isaiah McKenzie was on Isaiah
Yeah,
McKenzie.
yeah.
He tipped the ball, he didn't
Through his
catch it,
hands,
so
yeah.
it's like, but it didn't seem to really throw off Josh Allen
Nope.
because it's like put the ball back in my hands. We're gonna drive down the field and do what we do. What I will say is Matthew Stafford. I think he's gonna be all right. I think there's no reason to panic. I think if there's like a panic alert from 1 to 10 for the Rams, I think it's like maybe a 3. I think Matthew Stafford's gonna get on track, but I will say I think he's not completely healthy,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it kind of shows.
he
Like,
doesn't look it, and they just looked overmatched against a Bills team that's kind of a more complete
they
team at
have
this
something
point.
to play for, a lot more to prove, something to play for.
Also, they when you win the Super Bowl, you have some roster turnover, right? No Robert Woods. He was injured last year, but he was great when he played. He
Right.
leaves, he goes to Tennessee. Odell is still just hanging out as a free agent. He'll probably sign a few
Somewhere
weeks
soon.
into somebody who he knows is a playoff contender. Matthew Stafford, like you said, doesn't really look to be completely healthy. Still has to maybe build some more chemistry with some of the wide receivers and things of that nature. I mean, Cup looked great, but Cup can't win it all by
Yeah,
himself.
You can't target him that much.
Defensively, they lost Bond. He goes to the Bills, and they still have some playmakers. They still have some studs over there, but
They still have Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner had an impactful game.
mm-hmm.
Again, they have too many stars on that defense for them not to get things together.
Did you see Josh Allen teabagging Ramsey?
I'll say this, man. Josh Allen is phenomenal, and I love. I'm a fan of. Obviously, you need to be mobile in the NFL, but if I'm McDermott, I don't want Josh Allen trucking defenders, stiff arming defend. Like, take care of the ball. Do what you have to do. You have Stephon Diggs, you have Gabe Davis, you have Dawson Knox. Let them do what they could do, and then just let them get to work. Like, that's all you have to really do, man.
I think they need to minimize that a little bit, but it's fun to see, and it's fun to know that you have that in your back pocket when you do need it. He needs to be a little bit more careful. But you also look at it. Yeah, he's a big guy, man. He's like Ben Roethlisberger, running around. He could bang, and
Right.
It's a good weapon to have when you need it. They probably didn't really need it so much this game. I mean, I guess at times they did, but this was definitely a statement game, and you could see why so many teams had the Bills as a Super Bowl pick.
Super Bowl favorite. Right.
I
mean, he completed most of his passes.
And to be honest, you kind of saw that when they lost to the Chiefs, right? They lost that game to the Chiefs in the playoffs, and you kind of looked at it like, oh wow, the game was phenomenal. They could have easily won that game. Wow. Next year they bring back the same core of that team. And they make some improvements. Another year together. Watch out. And
mind you,
that's what it looks like.
Tre'Davious White wasn't playing that game, so what I was at least looking for was Matthew Stafford taking advantage of some of the backups plugging into that role into their secondary. But again, I think it's more so Matthew Stafford just hasn't built that trust yet. Also, it's week 1. You have the complete off season and you have way more time to prep for these teams. I mean, the Bills could have prepped for the Rams 3-4 weeks ago, whereas versus you have 1 week or you have 4 days or 5 days to prep against a team. I think you have to get Allen Robinson involved more, get the run game. I don't know what happened with Cam Akers. Cam Akers was non-existent.
Surprising.
Completely just not in the offense. I mean, I don't know if it's maybe he's not healthy.
What's the deal with Rams running backs? I mean, since they moved to LA, it's like they can't string together more than a few seasons.
Yeah, it's
you just got to get rid of them. They turn into garbage.
And it's kind of like it makes you think. I mean, just it sets a bad precedent in the league for running backs getting paid because it's like look at the Saquon Barkleys of the world. Granted, he had a great week this week, and we'll get to that. But look at the Christian McCaffreys. Look at Christian McCaffrey's great, but it's like how available is he? Mm-hmm. And it's like these players want huge contracts, and granted, rightfully so. They're putting their bodies on the line every week, but it's like the drop off of them is just incredible.
Yeah,
and it's like Cam Akers. He didn't really do anything much. I think Matthew Stafford gets back on track. They versed the Falcons this week, so hopefully that's kind of something that'll get that offense going, trying to get them into a role and get continuity. I think they'll be fine though.
Yeah. We had the Colts and the Texans here.
Colts and the Texans. My man Davis Mills, man. I am a firm believer in Davis Mills. I'll tell you this, man. Houston does not need to get a quarterback. If Houston, you think I'm crazy? If Houston gets all right. So they don't have John Mechie, right? Or John Mechie, right? Mechie. They don't have him this year due to his medical problems that he's having. But had they had him, you don't know what Davis Mills could have done. And on top of that,
I mean, they still have Nico Collins,
right? But the point is, build around Davis Mills. If you have an opportunity to get Bryce Young, okay, granted, get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud maybe. But it's like, bro, Davis Mills is not a bad quarterback. He's a starting quarterback in this league.
Look, Davis Mills is not bad. But it's going to be up to them if they're in position to get a new quarterback, right? Are they going to be
I don't think they will.
You don't think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league? Nope. Then they won't really have a shot. Maybe they still grab a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson. They're not going to be a top half team of the league, right? They're probably gonna be under 500 regardless of what you think of them. So maybe they might not get a top 3 pick, but they're still probably getting a top 10 pick. Yeah. But yeah, I mean Davis Mills, he can play, right? He's he's put it together. I mean, I watched him last year go and surprise me a little bit with his ability to make some throws and look poised. I mean, that's really the biggest thing with him, right? He doesn't look like it's too big for him, or the moment is too big, or the task is too big.
It's kind of like even kill.
Yeah, so for sure, and he, they keep it close against the Colts and come out with a tie, which a lot of people had the Colts winning this game easily. So the Texans, granted, the Texans last year came out week 1 and lit it up. Right. Tyrod Taylor lit it up, and they came out with a huge win before a terrible season. But still,
I think Lovie Smith is gonna get this team to start wanting to play.
And this time, Watson is gone. They had that whole saga going on where he didn't even want to play before even the allegations started. It was a circus down there. You have all the stuff about the owner.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Dameon Pierce get more involved though.
Yeah, and I think he will. I think there's probably like a week one thing,
they're just working him into the game plan.
just because he's a rookie kind of thing. Especially an old school coach like Lovie Smith.
No. But
kind of how it goes.
The Colts, they looked good. I mean, they have some things that they need to brush off, but I think it's just week one rust that a lot. Matt Ryan looked good. There's a lot of receiving drops, like just in general, and it's just like once they get on the same page, I think they're playoffs. I think they win that division, just like we said last week, and I think I don't know. I think they'll be all right. Plus, Michael Pittman, I think he's gonna have. I mean, he had a great season last year, but I think he's gonna be like Matt Ryan's go-to kind of guy. He had 13 targets last week, so
yeah,
that's gonna be pretty big.
We have the Niners and Bears. You picked this upset last week. Yep. This game, crazy rain over there in Soldier Field. It was a nasty throwback game. The Bears get it done. Justin Fields makes enough plays. Trey Lance didn't look very good. Probably less than ideal conditions for your first start. But,
right.
The Bears, credit to them. They got it done and against the 49ers team that made a deep playoff run last year and has a stacked defense. Trey, they have Lance as the quarterback really just because some of the limitations that Jimmy G has, but with Jimmy G they went pretty far games. And then Trey Lance comes in and first game he doesn't look that great, so granted, like we said, terrible weather, but it's something to keep an eye on and see if he could bounce back and show why they moved up to draft the guy, or if maybe they're gonna have to revert back and maybe the team starts calling for Jimmy G to take back over.
Jimmy G starts by week 5. I just don't believe in Trey Lance. I think, granted, he didn't have George Kittle, and when you have your tight end, that's huge. Like when you're, especially for rookie NFL quarterbacks, a run game and a tight end, those are your security blankets. So yeah, I mean the Bears, it was just a messy game. I mean it's a rain game, you can't really expect much, but overall it was just kind of like a backyard football kind of game. Just didn't really. There wasn't really continuity on any type of offense. They were blaming Matt Nagy, but not for nothing. That offense didn't look any better without him. So,
sure.
I just, for the 49ers, just to kind of take away from it, I just don't think Trey Lance has what it takes. And I feel like the 49ers are kind of all in on him right now because they want to show the league, like, hey, and they want to just show him. You want your quarterback to have confidence. So, you trust him, you give him the keys to the car, and you try to see where he could go with it, and if he doesn't, then that's why I think they kept Jimmy G. And it's like apparently they reported that he was annoyed about it.
Yeah.
Which
I heard this, so,
granted, of course you'd be annoyed if you thought you were like, oh, okay, I got the offense, I got this whole thing, we're gonna roll with me, but it keeps you on your P's and Q's. I think Trey Lance has to get it together. He has to put together better games, and Jimmy G wins football games. So and he's not you can't go into Lambeau Field as a complete underdog, win that game, and then just be marked as he can't really make big time throws. Like he was making crazy throws. He pretty much played out Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, I mean that's the whole deal with the 49ers and the Bears.
Yeah, another game, the Eagles and the Lions. We had I had picked this as the Lions as a chance to win this game, and I thought they would cover the spread. They covered the spread here in a game that the Eagles were able to find a way to win, but the Eagles, A.J. Brown looked great. He was, flying all over the field. But the Lions look good. I mean, I think, this Eagles team, a lot of people had them projected to win the NFC East this year. And, for them to have a close game against the Lions, I mean, I'm maybe I don't know. I think a few people are higher on the Lions this year, especially after Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks, yeah.
They're kind of like a little bit of a favorite of some people that people are rooting for them now. But yeah, I mean, I think they have a decent team. I think Campbell's a good coach, and they lose a close one here, but I think they showed towards the end of last year they were trending upward. I think that they show they're kind of picking up right where they left off, and
yeah,
I think there's no question they get more wins than they did last year. So
yeah, I think and they kind of found their identity with, all right, let's give the ball to the playmaker. Like, let's give our ball to DeAndre Swift, let him go to work. St. Brown, let him get to work. And Jared Goff, I mean, he had a bad rep for the Rams whole spiel, but I mean, he's a good quarterback. Like, he's not a phenomenal quarterback, but you could throw Jared Goff in pretty much any offense and he'll get things going. So I think he showed a pretty good game. They almost rallied and came back and beat them, which was great. I think honestly the whole world is rooting for the Lions, except for whenever their opponent is really versing them. I think you don't really want to see it, but I think I think the Eagles have some concern because you put up 38 points, none of them are passing touchdowns, so that's quite concerning. On Jalen Hurts' part, Devontae Smith didn't really get too involved, maybe because AJ Brown was kind of like
hogging all the targets.
Yeah, he was getting. I mean, he had a lot of targets. You look at the depth chart. I mean, the box score. He had 13 targets, so it's kind of like that's a lot to deal with. But I think Jalen Hurts. I mean, I don't really necessarily. I'm not a believer in Jalen Hurts, but if they want to win that division or do anything, I think he needs to show improvement in his passing because there was a lot of passes in that game that he just didn't make at all, and it was kind of concerning considering the weapons they got out this off season. So
yeah, I think it's pretty clear that that team is gonna go as far as Jalen Hurts takes them. Right, if he could start lighting up and throwing dots everywhere, they're probably gonna go far and probably win the division like some people think. If not, they might drop some games that
are important.
Yeah.
They might division games. Who knows?
We had the Jaguars losing to the Commanders, 28-22. This one is a bit of a weird one just because both teams are not really expected to be great. But I think there were some positives for both teams, right? The Commanders, I mean, they showed with Wentz, Wentz's reputation is kind of all over the place. He had that one season where he was like playing at an MVP level. Yeah. And then ever since then he's kind of been like a sort of known as a head case where you don't know what to expect from him and how is he gonna play. Is he gonna play good? Is he gonna throw the ball away? Is he gonna get injured? Who knows? Right. I think Wentz is going to be able to run this offense and put up some points, right? They have weapons on the outside. He got a bunch of their receivers involved.
Seems like him and Dotson have a really good connection. Yeah. It seems like that's going to kind of be, although Terry McLaurin is a great wide receiver, it helps because he'll get a lot of key-ins. He'll get a lot of looks, a lot of doubles, I'm sure, throughout the season. And it gives Johan Dotson to get some.
John Dotson will certainly get free. They still have Curtis Samuel over there, so
yeah, that's a huge weapon actually.
So between the three of them, right, they have weapons, so they shouldn't have too much problem getting some production out of their offense. The Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, they got him some weapons finally over there. Who looked great was Trayvon Walker, right? He certainly showed, number one pick worthy. He gets a pick where he, comes back across the middle, snatches that ball out of the air and tries to start running away with it. And then, he gets a sack as well. So pretty good first game for him. Showing why he was drafted number one with the physical abilities and traits and now backing that up with the production. So it's good to see that as well. We had the Dolphins. They come and they beat the Patriots 20-7 at home. Um, you know, this was one where we talked about it last week. We could have kind of seen this going either way, right?
Yeah.
Bill getting a win, anyways.
Right.
The Dolphins are a team that, you know, they're a bit of a wild card in this NFL, right? You don't know what to expect from them.
It's all on Tua, really.
Yeah, it's kind of all on Tua. They bring Tyreek Hill in there. You wonder how good they're going to be. They're going to be a decent team for sure. Is Tua going to stay healthy? Is the offense going to stay consistent?
Right.
Is how good is the defense going to be? So there's still a lot of questions with the Dolphins, but they come in, they take care of business in the first game against the Patriots, and
the Patriots just. You know what's weird with the Patriots though? Although the Dolphins Patriots games are like the Patriots tend to lose in Miami. Like even when they had Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There's always been crazy upsets in Miami. So I mean it's I don't think if you're a Patriots fan you should be too down.
I think that like you said, they find a way to lose in Miami enough times. I think they're used to it. I mean, I remember, Tannehill wins out there. So. There's been tons of that. So the Patriots will be fine. But yeah, Dolphins get the win in week 1. The Steelers versus the Bengals. This was a fun game.
That was a crazy game.
Crazy game. We talked about last week how, you can't count the Steelers out like a lot of people were. Yep. And I definitely like the Bengals in this game to win. Right. But I also, Mike Tomlin, his teams come to play. They play hard. He finds a way to win.
Mike Tomlin gave his whole team black Air Force One.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He's a great coach, man. He knows he has some coaches. Some coaches are great X's and O's guys. Like the Andy Reids of the world. And Andy Reid's also a player's coach. But there's something about Mike Tomlin that he connects really well with players in general. And he generally gets the best out of what he can get with who he has, and that's what makes a great coach. That's what makes Bill Belichick. That's what makes John Harbaugh.
Yeah, maximizing the talent.
Right, you do what you can with what you have, and Mike Tomlin showed that. And I'll say this about Mitch Trubisky: people could talk about Mitch Trubisky.
He played well.
I think Deontay, if you're looking for a fantasy person to pick up, and I mean, I don't think he's going to be on the waivers, but if you're looking for somebody to start or be on the lookout for, Deontay Washington got the majority of the targets. Plus, Mitch Trubisky he's brought the Bears to playoffs like twice, I'm pretty sure. And granted, they had Matt Nagy, but last year they were just saying Matt Nagy, oh, this offense looks stale and blah blah blah. So it's like, I don't know. I believe it sucks because I'm a Ravens fan, but I believe the Steelers could do things, and what a thriller though. Like that game was just back and forth, just crazy. So
yeah, huge win for the Steelers against the Bengals team that went to the Super Bowl last year, but the Bengals will be fine, I'm sure. We had the Browns 26 beating the Panthers 26-20. This was at the Panthers.
Baker being Baker.
Yeah, I mean, I expected the Browns to win this one. I just think they just have a better overall team. Baker didn't play that bad, to be honest with you. He looked fine, but the Browns still got the win. I think, the Panthers, they have weapons. Browns, they're playing better. Jacoby Brissett for now with no Watson, so that's just suspension is over. But yeah, the Browns, solid defense. They have great
Myles
players
Garrett
there.
Had a great game. I think Myles Garrett could win Defensive Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, and Browns get this one. Let's move on to the Saints and the Falcons. This one was a close one, but the Saints get the win here. I thought the Saints were going to get this done. This was closer than I would have thought. But, I think there was some positives here, right? Michael Thomas comes back, he gets a touchdown. Olave, he gets a touchdown. That could be a dynamic duo at wide receiver here. Taysom Hill, he comes in and gets some
They show
production with
still
some
the diversity.
yeah, with some little trick gadget plays and all that. So
I think Jarvis Landry too. He's fit right into that. Into that. I think him and Jameis have something special.
Right.
Michael Thomas is back. He's gonna be. I think he's gonna kind of serve more as a red zone threat rather than being like a really. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they get him way more involved, and maybe he does get a lot more targets and a lot more receptions.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It depends on how
that offense.
It depends on how the Saints play it, right? Because obviously Jarvis Landry's another target monster, right? We've seen him lead the league in targets before. You got the rookie Olave in there, who you can't ignore. He's fast. He's super fast, and he's a great weapon, right? And he's a solid, dependable guy, right? He comes in as a rookie, but the way he goes to work, he comes in almost like he's been doing this for a while. And then Michael Thomas, one of the greatest receivers in the league, he's been off, but he comes back. Jameis knows he got to get him the ball. Jameis is gonna try to get him the ball.
I love Jameis, man. This Jameis story, just the way he is, totally charismatic. I don't know. I like Jameis. I think one takeaway. I mean, granted, they came back. Like Atlanta blew a lead as usual. It seems like they just consistently blow these leads. I think some good takeaways is obviously their offense. They're known to be pass heavy. The Saints are always known to air out the ball. They kind of have to get Alvin Kamara going again, but again, it may just be some rust to knock off. A lot of these starters didn't really play in the preseason.
Yeah, no preseason.
So week one is really just a toss up. Try to see where people are at, where teams are at. Plus, you have so much preparation to prepare for week one. The main concern with the Saints is more so their defense. They had a lot of additions. And then on top of that, you bring Tyrann Mathieu. Their pass rush was kind of non-existent, which is kind of weird, being that they're kind of notoriously known for having a great pass rush. So I think they have to get after that. The Falcons, they generally looked good. They seem to be more on the run heavy side. They're gonna utilize Patterson as much as possible, Mariota as much as possible. I think they just need a quarterback. I just don't think Mariota's that guy for that or for that team, and they just need to, do something with that team.
Yeah. And Mariota probably be the guy this year. They have rated it there. Maybe at some point he gets it, but probably he's just a fill-in guy for now, and at some point Ritter takes over, or maybe they play bad and grab another guy, and who knows. Ravens against the Jets. This one was what you would expect, I guess. Ravens take this win. Jets look like they're still a mess.
Yeah. They look like more of a mess offensively. Jets have a lot to be. They have a lot to at least take away from it. I mean, the score doesn't tell it, because the score is a score, but they have a great defense.
Yeah, it was closer towards the beginning.
Their run defense was great. They seem to contain the Ravens' run offense, which is their bread and butter. Lamar showed, he could obviously be effective. There were some throws that were kind of questionable still, but I think that's, we'll see more throughout the season. I think, it's the Jets. There's not really much you could tell from the Jets. They're a young team, young secondary. So, I mean, that game is pretty much, not really much to take away from that, and not really. They did lose a lineman, so I think it was Jawan James, which is pretty tough on the Ravens, but we'll see what happens with that.
We had the Chiefs beating the Cardinals 44-21. Chiefs kind of, did Chiefs things, right? They threw the ball all over the field. They scored pretty easily. They aired it out, and the Cardinals just couldn't keep up. didn't seem like they have the weapons or were capable of keeping up, and like they weren't capable of stopping that Chiefs offense.
Yeah, just high powered.
Kelsey looked great. Mahomes looked great. Receiver wise, still a little iffy, right? They got some production, but it's yet to be seen how it's gonna turn out long term.
We'll see what happens. I don't think that was much of a test for the Chiefs because the Cardinals. You have to look at it too. The Cardinals they lost two big pass rushers in Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt is inactive. So they weren't really able to get any pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and that's kind of when Patrick Mahomes kind of shows some struggles, shows some problems. And then Kyler Murray, it's like you pay this guy all this money, and
I think you're right in saying it wasn't much of a test for the Chiefs at this point, but I don't think the Cardinals are gonna be a bad team. I think once you get Hopkins back and they get back into the swing of things, right? Like we said, these guys, they're not playing in the preseason. It's pretty much a preseason game in week 1. I think the Cardinals will be a decent team, and they'll have some chances to make some noise as the season progresses. Giants win 21-20 against the Titans. This one was a bit of a weird one. Titans start off with a lead, and the Giants find a way to
win it,
to come back late and win it. People are totally different feel here than the Jets.
Yeah, for sure.
Brian Dable's in the locker room dancing around like he's Mac Brown. They're celebrating. It's happy times in New York. Solid win by them. I mean, they came back. They got the job done. Barkley looked great, which is a good sign for New York. And yeah, I mean, just finding a way to win is something that they haven't done recently. So
and in the fashion that they did,
right,
to go for it on 2 away, and that just raises the morale completely, right? Because it's like we talked about last week with Brian Kelly and LSU, and you kick the field goal, and it's like, granted, you kick the field goal and it gets blocked. Now you have Brian Dable in a similar situation away. You could play it safe, but you trust your quarterback. 2, you trust your offense. 3, you trust your defense. He said in the press conference, he went to his defense,
and he probably didn't ask. He probably asked them knowing he was going to go for it anyways.
Right,
but I've seen other people talk about it. Like that's team building, right? That's how you get the team to play as one, which is what you need to do. There was no culture before, right? Giants have had no culture for years now, right? It's been just next coach and the next coach and the next coach, and the biggest story is some clip from the news conference of some funny thing the coach said that everyone's laughing at because it doesn't make any sense, right? So now they got a guy in Brian Dable, great coach, and looks to be turning the culture around. I mean, there's still a lot left to go. Like we said, a lot of these guys, they don't play in preseason. Titans, who knows what they're gonna turn out to be. They're a team that lost AJ Brown. They're kind of up in the air. Who knows what they're gonna do this year? But still, for the Giants, any win is a solid win. You take what you can get after the recent history at this point. Packers, Vikings win 23-7. This is another one where no preseason probably hurts the Packers here. Doesn't look like the receivers are on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings just took it to him. Justin Jefferson balled out. I mean, that guy looks incredible.
Yeah, he looks great. I certainly didn't think I think he's great, but I didn't think he was to that juncture.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, and I mean, almost 180-something yards.
This one is, I mean, there's not much more to say here. The Vikings won. Vikings could maybe be trending upward. Too early to tell. The Packers, as we're sure, they'll get back on track.
Yeah, for sure.
And figure things out. So this doesn't change much for the Packers, but we do know that they have a clear work to do with those receivers getting on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. Raiders, Chargers. Chargers win 24-19. Herbert looked great here.
Yeah, Herbert looks
phenomenal. Great performance by him. Keenan Allen got hurt, which is unfortunate. And also unfortunate that it seems to happen so much in his career, man.
I mean, it's kind of like a trend.
You just hope that guy can stay healthy. This looks like it's not gonna be something crazy that's gonna knock him out for the season. We've seen him have those kind of injuries before early, but yeah, he's out for now. We don't know when he's gonna be back. The Raiders, I mean, they just didn't get the job done. A little underwhelming. Some people expecting big things from Derek Carr this year. He has Devontae Adams. I mean, they pretty much tried to force feed him. Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah,
it wasn't really effective.
It's not, and that's the problem when you have number one receivers that go to new teams. It's like you keep feeding them. It's like kind of the same thing that it's Baker and Derek Carr are completely different quarterbacks. As far as talent wise, I don't think not too far, but Baker force fed Odell when he first came to Cleveland. So it's like now Derek Carr force fed Devontae Adams, and it's like you had a great receiver in Hunter Renfrow last year. You had a great receiver in Darren Waller. So I guess Josh McDaniels kind of has to find that balance within the offense. Maybe Derek Carr can key in. I personally don't think Derek Carr is what everybody thinks he is, but I think if they somehow iron out some of these problems, some of these issues, then you won't have to consistently play from behind. So I mean, that was a pretty good game, but again, they have to get way more of their receivers more involved and open up some more bigger things for Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is gonna get what he can get. So
yeah. The Buccaneers beat the Cowboys 19-3.
Love to see it.
We had this one as the best bets last week. This was an easy pick for me. I mean, I don't expect much out of the Cowboys this year, even less when now Dak is injured and hurt his thumb. So yeah, I mean the Bucs, they have a new coach, but still Tom Brady there. Yeah, Gronk isn't there, but they still have a bunch of receivers.
Yeah.
Defense is still good.
Defense is great.
Well coached. There's still going to be a well coached team. They're still going to have the leadership of Tom. This is an easy pick. Dallas losing, some pieces. And yeah, I mean, I just don't know that McCarthy's going to be the guy there. I mean, there really hasn't ever been a guy there for years now, right?
Yeah,
years and years and years.
Bill Parcells, really.
Yeah, really. I mean, they had some decent years under Jason Garrett, but that didn't last long.
Jason Garrett was more of a puppet for Jerry Jones rather than a coach.
And so Bucks win here easily. They didn't even do a whole lot of flashy stuff. They just went in, got the job done, got out of there. The Broncos, they go into Seattle. Russell Wilson's first game back, his first game outside of Seattle, really.
Yeah.
And they send them back, and Broncos lose 17-16. Seattle gets the job done.
That wasn't expected at all.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't expected, especially the ending of that game, right? They kicked that long field goal, and I mean, mind you, McManus has the leg for that, but
it's also
you think you would kind of trust Russ more. I mean, he's
the guy
proven in clutch situations. Yeah, so veteran quarterback. It was a weird one, but they don't get the job done. The Broncos have some work to do. I don't know, maybe it was just so many emotions going on over there, but
I think it's hard to play in Seattle, and when you're an opponent, you when you're obviously Russell Wilson's been there his whole career, so it's worked in his favor. But when you're an opponent and you're in there, probably a lot for Russell Wilson. I don't think he had a bad game though.
Did you see how many they kept having delay of games? I mean,
yeah, they had a lot of delay of games.
That crowd in Seattle, man, it's no joke.
The thing is I think they need to find out what they want to do with this running back situation because they had Melvin Gordon in there once Javonte Williams started to get rolling, and unless Javonte Williams taps out and is like, "Hey, listen, I need a break," I don't think you bring in Melvin Gordon and try to mess up what's going on, you know. And then on top of that, it's like had they gotten those 2 touchdowns in the red zone, completely different ball game.
Right.
So, I think the Broncos, they'll be all right. I think their head coach obviously has a lot of work to do. The play calling was kind of iffy. There is also some shotgun runs in the red zone on the 1 yard line.
Just let your running back run down there, man.
Like Javonte Williams was averaging nearly like 5 yards a carry, so it's kind of like let your running backs go to work.
Yeah, that was an instance of just being too cute, right? Trying to go in shotgun, act like you're gonna pass. It's like, all right, you have Javonte Williams back there. It's been effective. We're in the red zone.
Yeah,
that's probably what they're gonna key in on
and go right into it.
Yeah, if you want to be cute, you're better off going in like a power formation and then rolling out with a play action, hitting like a tight end, sliding out.
Right.
Not the other way.
More credit to Seattle. Seattle. Everybody's talking about the Broncos and what they didn't do, but hats off to what Seattle was able to do, and I think they'll be able to collect some wins this season and do what they have to do. I think Pete Carroll is not built for a rebuild. I don't think. I mean, the guy's 70-something years old. I don't think he wants to. That
guy is not trying to throw any games. He's not worried about drafting low or anything. He's trying to win, and that's what they'll do.
The precedent is.